Today we continue to listen Anattalakkhana Sutta. First we have to recite Anattalakkhana Sutta Pali, part 2, question and answer regarding Rupa, page 120. Can you follow me? Tange minyata bhikkhave Rupa necca va anecca vati Aneccam bande Yam bananecam Dukkam vata sukham vati Dukkam bande Yam bananecam dukkam Viprinama dhammam Kalanutta samanupasito Etamama Eso amasami Eso me atati No hitam bande. Recite together. Tange minyata bhikkhave Rupa necca va anecca vati Aneccam bande Yam bananecca dukkam tata sukham vati Dukkam bande Yam bananecca dukkam viprinama dhammam Kalanutta samanupasito Itamama Esohamasami Eso me atati No hitam bande. Translation, follow me. Monks, what do you think? Is Rupa material permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, Venerable Sir. That which is impermanent, is it unsatisfactory dukkha or satisfactory sukha? Unsatisfactory, Venerable Sir. That which is impermanent, unsatisfactory, and subject to change, should it be viewed correctly thus? This is mine, this is I am, this is myself. No, Venerable Sir. The Buddha denied the Atman theory. According to Buddha, there is nothing we can call an inner core, which is eternal and blissful. There is also nothing we can call upon to exercise authority over the natural of things. In Buddhism, there is no doer apart from doing. There is no experiencer apart from the experiencing. Buddha taught that there are only 5 aggregates: corporeality, material process or form, feelings, perception, mental formation, and consciousness. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vijnana. Less specifically, we may say that there are only two groups of phenomena in this existence, mind and matter, nama or rupa. Apart from mind and matter, there exists nothing whatsoever that we can call atta, self. The only things that exist outside of the realms of nama rupa, mind and matter, is the unconditioned asinkata nibbana, absolute truth. Buddha taught that for us there are only the five aggregates, five khandhas. We all are compound of five aggregates, and after we analyze and observe them one by one with the deep insight of meditation practice, we realize that there remains nothing, no soul, no self, apart from the aggregates. The combination of the five aggregates is that we call a person, a being, a man, or a woman. There's nothing apart from the five aggregates: corporeality, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness, which are interacting and dependent upon each other. No doer, no director, no experiencer, and no essence can be found. Atta, self, is merely an idea which has no corresponding reality whatsoever. Last few days we listened the scholar, ascetic scholar named Saccaka from the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta 25. Ascetic scholar named Saccaka was very famous one. One day he heard that Buddha taught the Anatta doctrine. Since he was a very sharp debater, he decided that he would go to the Buddha and convince him that the Anatta doctrine was wrong. Saccaka, the sharp debater, was very confident. He claimed that if he were to debate with a stone pillar, that pillar would sweat from fear. He claimed that just as a strong man takes a goat and flings it around his shoulders, so he would take hold of Gautama and fling him around in debate. So Saccaka, famous ascetic scholar, the teacher of Lijavi princess, and his followers went to the Buddha, and they exchanged greetings. Saccaka asked Buddha to explain the doctrine he taught. Buddha replied that he taught anatta, non-self. Saccaka countered, no, there is atta, there is self. Five aggregates, rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, and vijnana are atta. Saccaka countered. And Buddha asked Saccaka of the Agivesana clan, Do you hold that Rupa is self, Vedana is self, Sanya is self, Sankhara is self, Vijnana is self? As Saccaka replied, yes, Venerable Gautama. I hold that view, and these people here also hold the same view. And Buddha asked him, Saccaka of Agivisana clan, leave aside other people's view. Let us hear what you hold as your own. It was Saccaka's intention to share the blame. If his view of Atta happens to be blameworthy, with the others present there. But the Blessed One asked him to continue his reply only for himself. So Saccaka was thus forced to admit that I hold that Rupa is my Atta, feeling is my Atta, Sanya perception is my Atta, Sankhara mental formation is my Atta, Vijnana consciousness is my Atta. Saccaka replied. Then Buddha asked him, Saccaka of the Agivasana clan, rulers like King Pasenadi and King Ajatasattu hold sovereign powers in their own dominions. These kings kill of those who should be killed. They punish those who should be punished. They banish those who should be banished. They rule over their countries as they will. Is this not a fact, Saccaka? Buddha asked. Saccaka replied, sovereign kings have indeed such authority over their countries. Even the Lichavis princes elected by popular votes to rule hold such powers to kill, to punish, or banish in their own countries. Replied Saccaka, going beyond the bounds of the questions put to him, not foreseeing what effect it would have on his personal beliefs. Thereupon Buddha said, Saccaka of the Agivasana clan, you said Rupa is self, my Atta. Could you exercise control over that Atta, saying, let this Atta of mine be thus, let this Atta be not thus? Could you exercise control over that Atta? Buddha asked. The wanderer Saccaka was finding himself on the horns of dilemma. The doctrine of self holds that it can exercise control as he will. The Samyata clinging believes that it can manage self as it will. At this juncture, Saccaka had admitted that sovereign kings had complete control over their kingdoms. It appears that he would have to admit that Rupa, which he regarded as self, would be capable to be controlled. If he did that, there would come the further question whether he could exercise control over his Rupa, so as to keep it youthful like the rupa of the Lijavi princess. Buddha replied, do you really think that rupa corporeity is atta? As it happens, Saccaka was very ugly, and if he said that rupa was atta, then Buddha could counter. Then, why don't you make yourself more handsome? So Buddha could counter in this way, so as to keep your body youthful and handsome, like the body of the Lijavi princess. And he was very ugly. If he replied that it could not be managed, then that would amount to admission that there would be no control over the body, and therefore it could not be saved. Finding himself in this difficult dilemma, Saccaka kept silence without giving any answer. So Buddha repeated the question for the second time, but Saccaka remained silent all the time. Before asking him for the third time, Buddha gave him this warning. Saccaka of the Agivesna clan, you should better answer my question. It is not the time to remain silent. When questioned by a Tathagata for the third time, the person has to come up with the answer, or else his head will get split open into 7 pieces. So Buddha gave Saccaka this warning. At that time, a celestial ogre was said to be hovering above Saccaka's head. Armed with thunderbolt, the ogre was poised to split open his head with the thunderbolt. The ogre was visible only to the Buddha and Saccaka and invisible to other people. It is somewhat like ghost manifestation of present days, the ghost being visible to some people and invisible to other people. Saccaka was greatly frightened by the size of the ogre, but when he saw the rest of the audience undisturbed in any way, he realized that the ogre was not visible to them. So he could not say that. He had to answer the way he did, being in terror, threatened by the ogre. He knew also that he had no other refuge but the Buddha, to whom therefore he submitted. May it please the Buddha to put the question. I am now ready to answer. He submitted. Thereupon Buddha asked, Saccaka of the Agivesna clan, what do you think of that? You said body is self. Could you say of the self, let this body be thus, let this body be not thus, according to your wish? Buddha asked. And Saccaka replied, no, Venerable Sir, there is no control over my body. So he has said that Rupa is self. If Rupa was self, it should be capable to be controlled. Now he said that there was no control over Rupa. This amounts to admission that body is not self, one's inner substance. When Buddha heard him contradicting himself, he cautioned thus, Saccaka of Agivasana clan, take heed, be careful with what you say in reply. What you said later is not in accord with what you have said earlier. What you have said earlier is not in accord with what you said later. Now, Saccaka of Agivasana clan, what do you think of that? You said Vedana, feeling is self. Could you say of that self, let this feeling be thus, let this feeling be not thus, according to your wish? Buddha asked, and Saccaka replied, no, Venerable Sir, there is no control over my feeling. Similar questions were asked concerning senior perception, sankhara, mental formation, and vijnana, consciousness, prefaced by the same caution to take heed so as not to be contradicting himself. Saccaka also provided similar answers, saying there was no control over each of them. Then Buddha asked him whether body is permanent or impermanent. Saccaka answered, body is impermanent Bhante. What is not permanent? Is the suffering or happiness? Buddha asked, and he answered, suffering Bhante. That which then, what is impermanent, suffering, and subject to change? It is proper to regard it as this is mine, this I am, this is myself. Buddha asked, and he replied, not that, Venerable Sir. As Saccaka replied, the same question with regard to feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness, and similar replies were given by Saccaka. Then he was further questioned thus, Saccaka of Agivasana clan, what do you think of this? A certain person hold fast to these aggregates of suffering, clinging to them, attached to them, grasping them firmly, believing them to be this is mine, this I am, this is myself. Is there a possibility for this person to understand suffering truly? Is there a possibility for this person to end this suffering? Buddha asked. This question is quite subtle and profound. The aggregates of psychophysical phenomena which manifest themselves at the six sense doors at every moment of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and knowing. The person who takes delight in them and thinks them to be this I am, this is mine, this is myself, would this person know that these aggregates of nama and rupa, mind and matter, are suffering? Would it be possible for him or her to end these suffering, to be rid of these suffering? As Saccaka gave the answer according to the question asked. Venerable Gautama, how could it be possible for him or her to know the truth of suffering, to end the suffering? Impossible, Bhante. And Buddha asked, in that case, are you not the person who holds fast to these aggregates of suffering, clinging to them, attached to them, clasping them firmly? The person who believes them to be, this is mine, this I am, this is myself? Buddha asked, and Saccaka replied, the Blessed One, I am verily that person. Bhante, how could I be otherwise? The wanderer Saccaka had thought very hard of his own belief in utter self. He was very vain with regard to it, spoke boastfully about it, but when examined by the Buddha, he was forced to admit all along the error of his views. His belief in Attavada, was thoroughly annihilated. To give a final blow to his bloated ego, pride and vanity, Buddha taught thus by way of an illustration. And Buddha said, Saccaka of Agivisna clan, suppose a person wanting the hot wood went into the forest to look for it, see a plantain tree and believing to find the hot wood inside it. He felled the tree, cutting it down from the bottom of it. He cut off the top part of the tree and began to peel off the outer skin of the plantain trunk. Not to say of the inner hardwood, he could not even find the outer wood fiber that surrounds the inner substance in the plantain trunk. And Buddha continued, exactly as in that example. When I examine your doctrine in Atta, it is found to be void of essential inner substance. Did you not take the boast amidst the crowd in the city of Vesali? There was no one who can withstand with me in any contest of doctrine, without trembling, without sweating. I have not yet come across any recluse or Brahmin who can withstand me without trembling, nor sweating, nor anyone who has admitted himself to be an Arhat, fully accomplished worthy one, and who has become all enlightened. And you claim even a lifeless wooden post, not endowed with mind nor mental concomitants, when challenged by me in the matter of doctrine, would tremble and tremble down, not to say of a human person. Had you not made such boast, Saccaka of Agivisna clan? Buddha asked, as it happens, some of the sweat from your brows have soaked through your upper robe and are dropping on the ground. As for me, I have no sweat on my body. So saying, the Blessed One exposed a portion of his body so as to let people see for themselves. There was indeed no sweat in Buddha. The wanderer Saccaka, having nothing to say in reply, remained silent. He is so shy, embarrassed and crestfallen, with slumping shoulders and lower head. Then one of his followers, a Lijawi prince by the name of Dhamma, rose and asked permission from the Buddha to bring up an illustration. The Buddha permitted. On being permitted by the Buddha, Dhamma, the Lijawi prince, said, "The Blessed One, there was a pond not far from the town, and there was a crab living in that pond. The young people of the town came out from the town and arriving at the pond, got hold of the crab and placed it on land. That crab was clumsily raising its hands and feet, waving them about. Every time the crab raised its hands and feet, the young people had it smashed off by beating it with sticks or broken pieces of pottery. With its limbs thus crushed, broken, the crab could not make its way back to the pond. In a similar manner, the Blessed One destroyed all the thorns or spikes of Saccaka wrong view. Buddha destroyed all the punctures of wrong views and movements of his wrong views. Thus, there is no more possibility for Saccaka to approach the Buddha again to dispute over doctrinal matters. While Dhamma, the Lijawi prince was addressing the Buddha, other Lijawi princes were anxiously waiting their turn to denounce the wanderer Saccaka by more illustrative stories. Seeing the dangerous situation developing in which the Lijawi would be heaping disgrace on him one after another, wanderer Saccaka decided to stop Dhamma from making further remarks. Dhamma, hold on. We are having our discussion with the Venerable Gautama, not with you. Saccaka told Dhamma. Then he addressed the Blessed One. The Venerable Gautama, let those be what we have said and what others have said. I wish to bring them to a close. There have been such nonsense talk. Saccaka asked Blessed One. Then Saccaka asked the Blessed One how the person had to practice in the Buddha dispensation to reach the stage where skeptical doubts are overcome and courage and conviction attained. And Buddha taught him that the person has to engage oneself in the practice of meditation until he or she attains the stage when he can see with vipassana insight and knowledge of the path that the five aggregates of rupa, vedana, sanya, sankhara, and vijnana, which are liable to be misconceived as this is mine, this I am, this is myself, are in reality This is not mine. This I am not. This is not myself. So Buddha taught him, he or she have to engage in the practice of meditation. And Saccaka wanted to know also how to practice to become an arahant. And Buddha told him that after realization that aggregates of mind and matter are not mine, this I am not, this is not myself, he has to continue on practicing until he or she is free from clinging and attachment. So it is brief instruction. Buddha said how to practice to become an arahant. After realizing the five aggregates of mind and matter are not mine, this is not me and this is not myself, and you have to continue on practicing until you are free of clinging and attachment. So what comes out of this disputatious argument or Saccaka with the Blessed One is that there is a type of wrong belief which holds all the five aggregates are self, and that those who cling to Atta always think disparagingly of those who believe in the doctrine of non-self. And then in the Anattalakkhana Sutta, Buddha continued to talk the characteristics of anicca and dukkha in order to explain anatta further. So Buddha talked fully about anatta, but in order to explain it further in terms of the characteristics of impermanence and suffering, Buddha continued, Tanke minyata bhikkhave, rupa niccam va aniccam vati. So Buddha asks, Bhikkhus, what do you think of that? I am about to ask, you may answer in any way you think suitable. Is body permanent or impermanent? Buddha asked this question and the five bhikkhus answer, not permanent, the Blessed One. The Blessed One asked them whether body is permanent or impermanent. The group of five bhikkhus replied, not permanent. You can answer from the knowledge gained by ordinary hearsay, but what the Buddha wanted was answer based on your own knowledge, based on your empirical knowledge. That is Buddha wish, Buddha wanted. And the group of five bhikkhus, having become all sotapannas, has seen the truth, and their answer was thus out of their own knowledge in accordance with the wishes of the Buddha. So here all meditators are meditating, and when Buddha asks you, also you can answer because you are contemplating the body. In the body, you are observing the rupa. What is rupa? What is kaya? Abdomen, legs, hand, eyes, ear, nose, the whole body you are observing. So you all have been practicing meditation, and you can also answer with your own knowledge. Because the whole day, the whole month, the whole 2 months intensive retreat, you are non-stop watching your body and bodily behavior. When you take note of the actions of rising of the abdomen, that is rupa, you perceive the phenomena of extension, pressure, and movement in the abdomen quite vividly. This phenomena of extension, pressure, and movement is the manifestation of the Vayodhatu, air elements, that is rupa or kaya. The phenomena of extension, pressure, and movements was non-existent before. It becomes manifested just as abdomen begins to take a rise. Because there is an intention, you need oxygen, and then you breathe in, and abdomen begin to take a rise. There is then rising of the abdomen, it is becoming. The beginning of the phenomena is thus the rising of the abdomen that comes under your observation and properly noted. Then the rising comes to an end. There's no more extension, pressure, and motion in the abdomen. They come to terminate. They come to disappear, cease and pass away. So while the rising of the abdomen is being noted, you also perceive this rising to pass away, rising to disappear. This dissolution following on the heel of rising, becoming, is the characteristic of a nature, impermanence. Realizing this nature of impermanence in the course of noting the rising and falling of the abdomen, contemplating the body, is true insight knowledge of impermanence, that is anicca nupassana jnana. This is jnana. This knowledge of impermanence accruing from noting the beginning and end of each arising constitute samasana jnana, knowledge of comprehension, the first step in the series of 10 jnana developed through your vipassana meditation. So in this samasana jnana, knowledge of comprehension, you see through only the beginning and ending of the phenomenon of same types of namarupa. The fine details of what happens in between cannot be perceived yet. It is just the knowledge of impermanence. You perceive the beginning, the becoming and dissolution of the continuing process presently happening. When noting the phenomena of rising, the beginning of the rise you perceive as well as its end. To know the beginning of the rising of the abdomen is to know its beginning or becoming. To know the ending of the rising is to know its dissolution. So seeing the becoming and dissolutions of each arising of the abdomen. There can be no misconception on it to be permanent. It is definitely a nature impermanent. It is true vipassana. When noting the phenomena of falling of the abdomen, the contracting motion of the abdomen is distinctly seen. It is vaya elements, air elements in motion. In seeing the beginning of the falling motion of the stomach and its ending, the phenomena of air elements is to be seen. The falling abdomen, the falling rupa was not in existence at the time of extension. Only when the rising movement comes to an end that the falling rupa comes into being. Then finally the falling rupa, falling abdomen vanish away, disappear instantly. So this falling rupa is also definitely a nature, not permanent. You are observing this rupa, this kaya, all the time when there is no other prominent object. It is moving, it is clear. The commentators recommended. Why it is called impermanent? Anicca khayatina. It is impermanent because of its nature of coming to an end. In accordance with this definition, the falling of the abdomen manifested by the contracting motion comes to an end, ceases. So it is a nature, it is impermanent. According to another commentary definition, Hodva Abhavato, a nature non-existent previously, it comes into being, it comes into existence, and then dissolve, perish away. So it is a nature, it is impermanent. When making note, falling, 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 the beginning and end of the phenomena of falling, you perceive, and the meditator realize its impermanent nature. This is true nature nupassana jnana, that is understanding the nature of impermanence at the stage of samasana jnana, at the stage of knowledge or comprehension. You see the becoming and dissolution of the continuous process presently happening. And when you reach the level of Udiyabhya Jnana, knowledge of rise and fall, during the interval of one cycle of rising and falling, 3, 4, 5 distinct moments of beginning and ending of the phenomena can be noted. So more segments you can discover when you reach the stage of Udiyabhya Jnana. And when you comes to the Binganya stage, knowledge of dissolution, during the interval of one cycle of rising and falling, numerous moments of dissolution will be seen to be dissolved. to be passed by. The material body of rising and falling, being subjected to continuous dissolution, is indeed not permanent. And the whole day you have to move, stretching, bending, eating, brushing, opening, everything you very often you have to bend, you have to stretch your limbs. When you fully note the movements of bending or stretching your limbs, bending, stretching. You see the beginning and end of each bending and stretching. It is seen thus because the respective motion are being carefully noted. When the person not meditate, when a person not engaged in noting, may not be aware of the bending or stretching of his limbs, even if he is aware of the bending and stretching of his limbs, he will not perceive the beginning of the motion separately from its ends. He or she will be under the impression that the hand which was there before, bending or stretching, remains there after the motion. But stretching and bending, you really careful. And when bending or stretching, it will be seen that there is a slow motions of the limbs gradually passing from one moment to another moment. At every occasion of bending or stretching, the beginning of the standing and moving is coming into being of the material quality of wire elements. The end of the standing and moving is the dissolutions of air elements. When noting the bending, you know the beginning and ending of each bending is to know the arising and dissolutions of air elements, rupa. In the same way, you know stretching. When noting the stretching, you know the beginning and end of each stretching. It is to know the arising and dissolutions of rupa, air elements. In one single act of bending and stretching, you know the separate slow motion of the limbs gradually passing from one moment to another. It is knowing the arising and dissolutions of rupa, air elements, which characterizes extension and movement. The gradual slow motion of the limbs definitely reveal the nature of anicca, however, which cannot be realized without taking heedful note of each action. Walking meditation, you very meticulously practicing. While going, you are taking note of as right step, left step. You know the beginning and end of each step. This is knowing the arising and dissolutions of rupa, air elements, which is responsible for extension and movement of the legs. In the same way, you take note of the movements of the legs in raising, pushing forward, dropping. You know separately the beginning and end of movements, raising, pushing forward, dropping down. It is also knowing the arising and dissolutions of rupa, air elements. Knowing the separate slow motions of the legs involved in each act of moving is also knowing the coming into being and dissolutions of rupa, air elements. So, air elements, this rupa responsible for movements of each step, is arising and passing away with each step, and is therefore, you can answer Anicca Bhante. When noting the feeling or touch, sometimes you know touching, because some people rising, falling not clear, touching point, they try to note it. When noting the feeling or touch that may be felt anywhere on the body, you know the arising or sensations of touch and its disappearance. It is knowing the arising and dissolutions of rupa, material quality involved in touch sensation or touch. You also know arising and passing away of sensitive material qualities of your own body, as well as that of the tactile body. Touching, you notice very fixedly, and you realize the freshly arising material bodies are not stable, they are impermanent, because you have seen their continuous arising and passing away of actual noting. So hearing is experienced by many yogis. When hearing, and you take note of hearing, keep your mind inside the ear, and you notice the sound to be freshly arising and disappearing, and this knowing the arising and dissolutions of the sound wave. So the sound which arises every time sound is heard is not permanent. Along with these material qualities of sound, the material qualities of the eardrum, on which sound makes its impression, also arise afresh and disappear with the sound wave. So once the arising and dissolution of sound wave is perceived, the arising and dissolutions of the material qualities of eardrum, you also understand. So you perceive only arising and disappearing of the sound wave, so don't worry that your ears also disappearing simultaneously. So you take note of the sound as hearing. Every time the sound is heard, you know the impermanent nature of sound wave. You know at the same time the impermanent nature of eardrums, material qualities of the ear as well. Traffic sound, siren, are generally regarded to be heard as you continuous noting. So meditators, when their vipassana insight knowledge is grown strong, those sound waves appear in minute portion, section by section, one after another. So meditator realize that material qualities of sound wave, rupa, is also arising and perishing at a very fast pace. So all the rupa come into you and you observe trustlessly, and you see these rupa are impermanent. So we will continue next time. We have to stop our discourse for today. By practicing vipassana meditation, by observing every phenomena occurring at the six senses, by noting kaya, vedana, citta, dhamma, body, feeling, consciousness and dhamma objects continuously and meticulously, may all yogis be liberated from all suffering. May all yogis realize the real peace in the very near future.